Hello everyone, my name is Kaiju Cooper, and after 3 weeks since my last upload and lying multiple times on my community tab about who I was going to review next, we have finally arrived at a new review. No, it's not United Optimus Prime or Bumblebee Movie Megatron, it is Bumblebee Movie Shockwave. I got him yesterday, he's here, he's real, I'm back, I didn't die. I was lucky enough to actually find this guy in a Walmart. He got revealed a month or so back, and he's been pretty scarce so far. I don't think many people have been finding him in stores, but I was lucky enough to be able to. And yeah, here he is. But before we take a deeper look at the figure, let's take a look at his big old box here. Now, something I noticed about this box is that it feels a lot more sturdy and solid. I think they may have switched up the kind of cardboard they're using. It feels a lot thicker. It's not as thin as the cardboard on the deluxe class box. Well, you got a lot of renders here, you know, all the typical Studio Series stuff. 110, Shockwave, Transformers. Turning it to the back, here he is, the product shots here, along with the amount of steps it takes to transform him. You know, you got him in his robot mode, you got him in his tank mode, you got the top says Bumblebee Movie, and that's about it for the box. Bringing Shockwave back in a frame, I gotta say, I have really mixed feelings on this guy. I think the best way to describe him is as a figure more from the early 2010s than a modern figure. He really just doesn't feel up to date like a lot of the newer Studio Series figures do. Especially next to such an amazing release as Megatron. This guy feels really outdated, which he shouldn't. We're supposed to evolve, not regress. Now, this isn't the first Studio Series Shockwave that's been made either. He's had 2 releases in the line already. That being the core class version of the same design and the Dark of the Moon version, both of which are really solid figures. And this one's okay at best. He's got some design flaws that we'll get into later, but as of right now, we are going to focus on the painting and sculpting here. And one thing I've seen a lot of complaints about, but I don't really have too much of a problem with, is that this figure has a much darker color scheme than the usual Shockwave color scheme, or even the way he looked in the movie. He's just a lot dingier and darker than usual, and I do see it. You put an image of him in the movie next to the figure here, and yeah, he looks way brighter. Might be the lighting, but even here, he just seems a lot darker. And I think the main reason for that is the combination of the darker purple used here along with this really dark gunmetal plastic. I do like the gunmetal grays and almost a gunmetal black, honestly. It's very dark. I do like this color scheme, but I think the core class Shockwave here also had a really good one. Maybe even preferable to this one. As you can see, core class Shockwave, he's got a completely different shade of purple compared to the new guy. And the eye here is painted much better. As you can see, this eye looks pretty dead and hollow. The painting here is very nice. He's got these weird little splotches of silver to make him look damaged. He does have some nice accents of this gunmetal silver here at the legs and at this little section in the chest. Some on his cannon as well, which looks very nice. Turning him around to the back, his back profile is really good. There's not any really big vehicle mode parts sticking out at you. Got a very clean side profile, so that's good. Nothing back here really prohibits articulation either, so very nice, solid silhouette for the figure. Now, onto the articulation. I don't usually cover this, but that is where the bulk of the complaints with this guy are, both for me and for others. He's just got one vital problem that really screws him up. Actually, a couple. Start with the head, which is only on a swivel joint here, which means he cannot look up or down, which was just a missed opportunity. I understand that Shockwave has a very flat pancake head, but if you bring the Siege figure in, you can see he does have a ball joint there that allows for a lot more range. It just seems like a wasted opportunity here. And the biggest problem people have with this figure is you come to the arms, there is no bicep swivel, which is a massive problem for poseability. He cannot move his arm out, is what it basically means. And usually it wouldn't be that big of a problem, because even if you don't use a bicep swivel, you would be able to use the hinge joint at the arm to have him move his arm out. But the thing is, because of his shoulder pylons and his back pylons, he cannot move his arm out, like, at all. Well, actually, that's a very bad example, because he just moved it out all the way. It's with the cannon arm that it looks bad, because that's the most natural pose you can get with that without having it look weird, because these just bump into each other a lot. So there's just this massive range right here where either you have to move it all the way back to get a good pose, and even then, this rubber hose accessory does get in the way of the poseability as well. It would just be easier if they engineered a bicep swivel, which would have just made posing a lot more graceful. So that's a pretty big screw up on their part. I mean, there is an elbow swivel, but that really doesn't help much. It's just not having a bicep swivel is really stupid, especially by today's standards. Pretty much every single Transformer has a bicep swivel. In fact, I can't even think of one that doesn't have it. So the combination of this figure's bulky design and just bad articulation really screws him over in the long run. Actually, bringing back the core class figure here, he has a bicep swivel for some reason, which allows for much better posability on his part. It's really stupid that this tiny little minifigure has better posability than this guy. Although another area where this figure kind of sucks is his ankle pivot. It just, that's nothing. That doesn't help at all. Especially when you put that next to Megatron's ankle pivot. God damn. So yeah, he's got pretty lackluster posability. Now in terms of... I'm okay. In terms of accessories, he comes with two, that being his cannon and this rubber hose accessory, which is cool. They added that. My throat hurts. He does have a hand in there, and this tabs on with this little slot here that goes into that tab, so that's cool. And you can swap the cannon to either arm if you want, but he looks kind of weird without a cannon arm. There he is with his big cannon arm. I much prefer it that way. Do you just stand normally, please? Thank you. Anyway, here he is with the other Shockwaves in Studio Series so far. Studio Series Bumblebee movie, Concept Megatron, and the Leader Class Optimus Primal, who I don't even know how I'm going to fit him in frame. I'm just going to put him right there. Very short Leader Class for this guy. He should really be a lot taller. And yeah, I guess now we get into the alt mode. I guess I'll do a snap transition, because why not? Wow, editing magic. He's a tank now. Obviously not any real tanks to my knowledge. If this actually exists, that'd be batshit crazy. Now, this was based off the Transformers Prime Shockwave. He also turned into a tank. They couldn't have him turn into a giant gun. Now, that'd just be silly. Plus, I don't know how mass shifting would work. Size of a handgun, giant robot, doesn't make much sense. It's a lot less put together than the core class one is, somehow. The tread assembly here just looks much nicer. It's a lot more disoriented over here. The turret's nice. It is posable. It's on a weird clicky joint though, so it's very hard to articulate. The front of the cannon also has this double hinge, but that's for the transformation, so just don't screw with that, I guess. His hands tuck away nicely. You know, everything tucks away pretty nicely. I think these are supposed to be thrusters for the tank mode. There are tiny little wheels on the treads, although with the way this guy transforms, he's not really ever sitting flat completely, which sucks. Although it does look nice, I will give it that. This figure does look very nice, very presentable, but it's when you actually start handling him that you start noticing a lot of the problems and kind of what drags this figure down a ton. But in terms of alt modes, not bad. I'm glad that him and the core class figure did follow a similar design. It would have been weird if they just did a completely different alternate mode for this guy. It wouldn't have made any sense. Bringing him back in robot mode for my closing thoughts. Like I just said, he's very nice to handle. He's very nice to look at. He's a good display piece. But when you actually start getting into his articulation and his blocky design, it kind of just messes everything up. He cannot get very versatile poses. He's just pretty static. It's not horrible, but I could go either way on recommending this guy. If you have the rest of the Decepticons and you still want a Shockwave, he's not a bad option. Especially if you have the rest of the Bumblebee movie Decepticons. He fits right in with them. He does look very good. But if you're just looking for a Shockwave to put in your collection, I'd recommend the Siege one more over this guy. But as a movie Shockwave, he is very good. But as I said, his articulation is still pretty lackluster, so I'm going to have to go ahead and give this guy a 7 out of 10. Pretty run-of-the-mill. He is passable. And that's the best way I think I could describe this figure. He really does not feel like a recent figure with all the drawbacks that he has. Remember to like, subscribe, follow my Twitter. I post art there now. Join the Discord. I am doing a giveaway. Should probably mention that. Let's get out of here, Shockwave. That's right, I'm giving away a figure in my Discord server again. And once we hit 100 members, I will be giving away the Legacy Tarantulas. I will ship to anyone in the US, so if you are interested, definitely join. And with that, you know, subscribe, all that good stuff I just said, and kiss your mother for me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Female.